Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Christine. Today we're going to make Coq Au Vin, chicken braised in red wine. It's a very flavorful and hearty dish, perfect for the festival season. Now let's get started. Coq Au Vin literally means rooster cooked in red wine. In the old days, they used a whole rooster. The meat is pretty tough. Today, I'm using a young chicken, cut them into big pieces, and I'm only using the dark meat, which is more flavorful. I'm using the thighs, the legs, and the wings. So now let's first marinate the chicken. Traditionally, you use a Burgundy wine, which is a French Pinot Noir, but any good red wine should work. Put the wine all into the bowl here, just to cover the chicken meat. Bouquet garni is the herbs to marinate together with the chicken. I'm having bay leaf, some fresh thyme, a sprig of rosemary, also some Italian parsley, together with some whole black peppercorns. And I bundle them all in the cheesecloth. It will be much easier for us to take out later on in the cooking. Just put the whole sachet into together with the chicken and soak them in. As I mentioned earlier, this is a pretty young chicken, so it doesn't need a very long marination time. So up to 2 hours is fine. That will give it a very settled flavor and give it more complexity from the wine and herbs. But any marination longer than 4 hours will actually toughen the meat. If you find that you're not going to cook the chicken like within 4 hours, you should take your chicken out. So now let's put it into the fridge. Now the chicken has been in the marination for about 2 hours. Now let's take it out and have a look. Color of the meat has turned into this light purple. Take it out and dry it. I also take out the sachet, pat them pretty dry. Because we're going to brown the chicken later. Otherwise, we're not going to have a very good searing. We'll have oil splashing all around the red wine, so we're going to reduce it by half. So now it has come to a boil. Skim out the scum and the gunks from the surface. Red wine has been reduced by 1/3 to 1/2. I'm going to set it aside, and we're ready to cook. So put the heat on medium. Put a little bit of the oil into the pot, just a little bit. Put all of the bacon in. And I will let it render till they're golden brown. That looks good. I'm going to take all of the bacon out. Put on the paper towel to get out all of the excessive oil. There's too much fat in the pot. I'm going to take it out and just leave a tablespoon of the fat in the pot. Turn back on the heat on medium. And now we're going to season our chicken. The kosher salt, put them on top on the skin side first. I put them skin side down. It takes about 5 minutes to give it a really nice brown on the skin side. And I'm browning the chicken in 2 batches because you don't want it to crowd the pan. Otherwise, you are going to steam the chicken rather than brown it. That looks good to me. A lot of the fat leaving in the pot, I will take out some. Turn the heat on low. So first of all, I'm going to sweat the onion. Add a little bit of salt to help the juice to come out from the onions. Just sweat it until it's translucent and get on some color. Add in the carrots and also the celery and sweat it together to get on a little bit of the color. All of these vegetables I'm going to take out at the end. I cut them into these big pieces so it will be more easy to take them out. And the vegetables is not going to cloud our juice later on. 1 teaspoon of the tomato paste. I will also sweat it for about a minute until it turns into the brown red so we can cook out the sweetness of the tomato paste. Putting all of these crushed garlic, about 6 cloves, and sweat it together with the tomato paste and the rest of the vegetables. Put the chicken back into the pot. A 1/4 cup of brandy. So I'm going to turn off the heat. Just pour in the brandy. And I will do a quick flambe. So the flambe will cook off the alcohol, and it will also bring in a very subtle flavor from the brandy, make it more tasty. Now we can turn back on the heat on medium to scrape the bottom of the pan to make sure all of those flavorful brown bits come off. Reduce the red wine. I'm going to pull it in. We have about 2 cups here. A cup of the homemade chicken stock, being reduced from a quarter of the homemade chicken stock to 1 and 2 cups. So it's really concentrated and have all of those flavor. So the liquid just barely covered the chicken. Put our sachet with all of those herbs back into the pot. Bring it to a simmer. Liquid starts to bubble and it's coming to a simmer. So let's test the temperature. It's about 200, so that's the maximum temperature. We don't want it to go over. So I'm going to cover the lid and put it into the oven that has been preheated to 200 Fahrenheit for about 40 minutes, and that will give the best flavor and texture of the chicken. Now while the chicken is in the oven, we're going to prepare the vegetables for the final dish. Turn on heat on medium, adding a little bit oil, 2 tablespoons of butter. So when the bubbles almost subsided and they turn into a light brown, I'm pulling all of the mushroom. Again, you don't want it to crowd the pan, otherwise you are just steaming the mushroom. Adding a little bit salt and a little bit black pepper. So that is good, just until it get on some very nice color. I don't want them to get really crispy and dry it out. So I'm going to add in the carrot, 1 big carrot, cut them into the similar size of the mushroom. Pearl onion, which has been briefly blanched and also peeled. I just give them a very brief saute here to get on some of the color. Also get some nice caramelization to get the sweetness out of these vegetables. A little bit more salt and black pepper. Now the chicken has been in the oven for about 40 minutes. Let's take a look. Ooh. The liquid is about 186 Fahrenheit. So let's take a temperature of the chicken. Around 185 and 188. You don't want to go higher temperature because anything beyond 200 will really toughen your chicken and dry the meat out. Taking the chicken out and set on aside. So all of these vegetables is very mushy. I'm going to take it out. Further strain it to the sauce pot. Bring the sauce back to boil and reduce it. Use this kind of a fine match skimmer. It will be very handy for you to skim off all of those gum and oil on top of the sauce to make it really clear. Now the sauce has been reduced by half, have been almost cleared. So I'm not going to thicken it up. So I'm using 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour and adding 1 tablespoon of cold water to make it into a slurry. So rather than the traditional method of using butter and flour, using the tapioca flour won't get into any starch flavor. Help to get your sauce a glossy texture and shine. So I'm going to add in half first and stir it well. I will add more if I find it too thin. So I will bring it back to boil. I think I'll adding a little bit more. Now the texture is really good. It's nappe and can coat our spoon really well. Adding a little bit more salt. 1 teaspoon of maple syrup to balance out the acidity of the wine. Give our sauce a bit more shine. It's very tasty. Now our sauce is ready. Put the chicken and vegetable together with the sauce back into our pot. Then I'll bring it back to simmer. Now it's bubbling up and back to simmer. I'm going to cover the lid and put it back into the oven for another 10 minutes and we're ready to plate. Take a look at that, it's how pretty. Get some vegetables on the side. Prepare some baguette, just tuck it in. Crispy bacon on top, chopped green Italian parsley. That's it. Now we are ready to taste it. Look at this. It's full of the flavor from the wine, warms you up, and it's super juicy and tender. So tasty. I hope you all like today's recipe and all give it a try. Until next time.